Nosotros estamos broadcastando. I don't know. I'm learning, though. I'm getting better. Hey, Allison, you ready to do a show?
I am ready to do a show. Now, do you think I'm a bad person for agreeing to be on the Daily Tech News show instead of picking up my friends Marion and Devon from the airport from New Zealand?
Well, now, are they stranded at the airport?
They can take a cab. No.
Oh, so nobody's picking them up.
Actually, no. Steve is.
Oh, no. Then you're fine. I think you're
I'm
fine.
sure.
Well, thank you for rearranging the schedule, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's only them that paid the penalty, not me.
I'd feel really bad if they're like, nope, good luck with Uber after your 16-hour flight from New Zealand.
With your luggage for a month?
Yeah. Are they at LAX too?
Yeah,
Ugh,
yeah.
Yeah, even worse.
Just customs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and one just getting out of the international terminal is a bear. It's all the way at the end. But enough of that. Thank you for tuning in to Daily LAX Complaints Show. All right, here we go.
Oh, one quick second, Tom. I just noticed my blinds are banging. Should I close them?
Yeah,
really?
Go ahead, though. Yeah, no,
okay.
go close them so they don't bug you, though. Even if I don't hear them, you will, and it'll be distracting. All right. Now we're ready. Yes, Tinenvec Podfeed is El Jefe, as are you and many others in the chat room. Okay.
Oh, the chat room.
Yeah, go to Dragon. Go to diamondclub.tv if you want the web version.
I think I've got it set up in. Is it the same as Cord Killers?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Same room. All right.
Almost
Here we go.
At the end of the day, making free content doesn't come cheap. Show your support for the independent content you're listening to right now at patreon.com/acedetect. That's patreon.com/ACEDTECT.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, August 12th, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Allison Sheridan, host of the NosillaCast podcast and all of the wonderful things that happen at podfeet.com. How are you doing, Allison?
How you doing there today, Tom? I'm your boss.
You are El Jefe, here. Or would it? Yeah, I guess it's still El Jefe.
El Jefa. I took French in high school. It doesn't work.
What's French for the boss?
That was 168 years ago. I have no idea.
We'll ask Patrick Beja next time he's on. But yes, you're a patron of the show. Thank you so much for that.
Patron of the arts, as it were.
Yes. Well, of something. I don't know if it's arts. And then I'm going to make you work and read headlines with me. So let's get started. Microsoft delivered a slate of Xbox news at GamesCon in Cologne, Germany. CNET compiled a list of the announcements. The Xbox will get an exclusive on Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is set to arrive in late 2015. That's a sequel to the one from last year. The Xbox One gets DLNA support for media centers. That's nice. Interaction with Glass apps, as well as the ability to play back media from USB. 2 new bundles are coming. An all-white Xbox One with Sunset Overdrive will sell for $400, no Kinect. And that one's coming on October 28th. And a Call of Duty Advanced Warfare box with a special skin for that game of Xbox One and a terabyte hard drive arrives for $500 on November 3rd. Among several other game-related announcements, the Halo 5 Guardians beta was announced to begin December 29th. So we know what many people will be doing on New Year's Day.
Bloomberg has talked with the secret society of people with knowledge of the matter, and they say Apple suppliers have started manufacturing new 9.7-inch iPads. A new version of the 7.9-inch iPad mini is also entering production. A different group known as People Familiar with the Situation have said that Apple will make announcements on September 9th.
I wish we could just get their blogs, the People Familiar with the Matter blog, so they could just tell us directly.
Exactly. That would that'd take all the fun out of it, though, right? If we actually knew what was going on.
Take the mystery out of life. Lyft gave some data to CNN, which apparently shows 177 Uber employees ordered and canceled more than 5,000 rides from the rival company since October 2013. Lyft drivers complain that even when they don't cancel, sometimes Uber employees take short, low-profit rides in which they try to convince the Lyft drivers to go work for Uber. Uber told Ars Technica the claims are patently false, although Uber does run promotions from time to time to get riders and drivers to convince drivers at other companies to come work for Uber.
I'm starting to feel like Uber's a little bit slimy, Tom. They sent a letter out to people who liked Uber, who lived in the state of California, saying that the state of California, the proposed legislation AB 2293, was going to make them pay 20 times the insurance required by taxis. And just being that dorky, I went and read AB 2293, and the insurance request sounded kind of reasonable to me. Didn't sound crazy.
So 20 times sounds reasonable to you, huh? It would probably be Uber's response. Yeah, you know what? Uber's getting confident. They've been the leader in this space for a long time, and we see this happen all the time with companies that go from plucky startup to incumbent. And it's always hard to watch.
Slippery, slimy. Yeah. If they really did this with the Lyft drivers, and it sounds like they might actually have done that.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy to me.
They definitely ran a promotion to try to recruit drivers, and whether you think that's good or not, they're honest about that. They're like, yeah, of course, we want people to come work for us. The idea of calling and canceling rides sounds pretty slimy to me, and the Uber says they didn't do it. So
yeah. Interesting. Well, anyway, GigaOM reports that Apple is latest in a string of tech companies releasing diversity reports. Of Apple's 98,000 employees, 55% identify as white, 15% Asian, and 7% black. 70% are male, which is about the same as Google and Facebook. If you don't count retail stores, which I don't think they should in these kind of stats, 35% of Apple employees are women, but if you further limit it to tech roles, it drops to 20%. In Apple's leadership team, 64% are white, 21% Asian, and 72% male. Now, I graduated from college in 1980, and as an engineer, women represented 20% back then. Maybe it's slipping. Maybe it's actually going backwards.
Yeah, well, and it's different to compare engineering in whole with people working at tech companies, which may or may not, be recruiting the same type of engineers. It's a little bit apples and oranges, but
yeah,
apples. But no matter what, we know that women make up more than 50% of the population. So there's a problem somewhere down the line in getting. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was 46% women. It's
sure.
Like, oh, that's lower, but whatever. Maybe it's just not.
You could even go 35.
Things don't have to be exactly representative, but wow, 20%. That's low.
Yeah, but it sounds like that's representative in the other tech industry.
It seems totally normal. We've been hearing these from Pinterest and Google and all kinds of different tech companies, and they're pretty consistent.
Huh.
Wired has an excellent Stephen Levy write-up about something called Viv Labs, V-I-V. It's an attempt to make a truly intelligent digital assistant in the mode of Siri. And before you go, oh, wait, copycats, Viv's co-founders, Dag Kitlaus, Adam Chyer, and Chris Brigham all created Siri. They're the folks who started Siri. Apple bought their company. They worked for Apple, and then they left. For the past 2 years, they've been working on Viv. Now, the difference between Viv and Siri is that Viv should be able to learn on the fly and understand requests it was not pre-programmed to. Siri kind of has to be programmed to do stuff, as does Cortana, as does Google Now. As an example, in the article, they use this one. If you were to say, give me a flight to Dallas with a seat that Shaq could fit in, Siri would just result to searching web for keywords. Siri wouldn't be able to do anything with that. Viv will generate its own program on the fly to link information from Kayak, Seat Guru, and maybe an old NBA media guide, and be able to answer that question. Viv is designed on 3 pillars. It'll be taught by the world. It will know more than it is taught. Sounds scary. And it will learn something new every day.
I'm really looking forward to something like this. I can't tell you how many times I'll say something like, when is the next Lakers game? And it'll say, oh, it's Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And I'll say, remind me to watch the Lakers game next week. And they'll say, what? What are you talking about? It's like having a friend with really poor short-term memory.
Or maybe just not a Lakers fan.
What could be that? Or my personal favorite is
Cortana will never recommend Lakers games now that Ballmer owns the Clippers.
Good point. My other favorite is I've explained to Siri that Lindsay is my daughter. And it says, okay, got it. So I'll say, call my daughter, and it'll say, which one of your children would you like to call? So apparently it only stores the word children, even though in text it says daughter and son.
Right.
She can't put those two pieces together because that's crazy. We need AI to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of a dumb assistant.
No,
Firing
I
Siri.
totally- yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. Where are we? BBC News reports that Activision's pulling out a version of Skylander for tablets. Skylander is a free game where kids unlock in-game content by buying RFID-enhanced action figures and placing them on a base station, which in turn unlocked $2 billion in sales for Activision. The tablet version will also be free. To use the figurines, you'll need a new version of the Portal base, which connects via Bluetooth. The app comes out for iOS, Android, and Kindle Fire in October. So let me make sure I understand this, Tom. All you need for this free application is a tablet, a new physical base station, and figurines. I think I know where this $2 billion came from.
Well, you can use the touchscreen controls if you don't like having fun. If you actually want to enjoy the game, you definitely need the base station and then the figurines. So, yeah.
Great. So it's about $800 if you put it all together. I don't know. You didn't say how much it was.
We're gonna assume they already had the tablet, or they wouldn't be interested in this version of the game, right? I mean, I think that's fair.
Okay.
To say.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not a. No. That's how they made $2 billion. They sell those figurines like crazy. Sony had its share of GamesCon announcements in Cologne as well. The company announced it sold 10 million PS4 consoles worldwide. Now, that is sold, not shipped. I think sometimes people make too big of a deal about the difference, but these are actually like they have had 10 million PS4s bought by folks. A new feature called Share Play will come along in System Update 2.0 and allow your friends to join in a game or take the controls from you anywhere they are, even if they don't own the game. This sounds like Xbox One original announcement stuff that they pulled back. Sony's going to be able to do it now for some games. NBA 2K, Towerfall, and Child of Light were all mentioned as implementing SharePlay. Europe got a couple of announcements as well. PlayStation Now, the gaming streaming service, is not going to arrive in Europe until sometime in 2015. However, Sony's PlayStation TV, which is essentially a Vita in console form, will come to Europe November 14th for €99. Time now for some news from you. These are things submitted in our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and we appreciate all the submissions. Sometimes they just help me decide what goes up in the main headlines. Sometimes they let me add something I might not have thought of otherwise. That's what these are. And Crud2 posted the Washington Post story that the U.S. FCC has established a task force to study misuse of surveillance technology that intercepts cellular signals to locate people, monitor calls, and send malicious software. The tech described is an IMSI catcher, IMSI catcher, often called Stingray. You may have heard of it like that. And it's widely used by police and intelligence services. The devices work by mimicking cell phone towers, and the FCC wants to determine the extent to which criminals and foreign intelligence services use the technology against U.S. citizens. Totally fine for domestic intelligence services to use it, apparently.
I guess so. Hermoth pointed out the 9 to 5 Mac story that the USB 3.0 promoter group announced the USB Type-C connector is ready for production. The new smaller USB port features a reversible connector. Yay! It's powerful enough that one design can work for both PCs and mobile devices. The spec allows for 10 gigabits per second speed and USB power delivery of up to 100 watts. Now, Tom, I was looking at this, so I got my micrometer out here, and I've been measuring my connectors, and it looks like this USB-C is 8.4 millimeters by 2.6 millimeters, which makes it just a smidge bigger than the micro and lightning connectors at 7 millimeters, but it is 40% thicker than the lightning connector. Now, 40% thicker is 0.003 inches, by the way.
That's so that when you have a future USB to lightning cable, you can tell which end is which, because that's going to be confusing for a lot of people.
It's going to be terrible. I mean, those things are so close together in size, and I was looking at the picture, it looked exactly like a lightning connector. I mean, I'm all huzzah.
We're all going to need adapters, because for the first time, the USB ports on your laptop are not going to work. It's an entirely new profile on both ends.
Oh, I didn't catch the USB-A end will be different?
Yep.
Oh.
Both ends.
Oh.
Trouble at both ends, as they say.
But you can't blame this one on Apple, okay?
No, yeah, absolutely not. This is a standard, and it's, as much trouble as it's going to cause, you need to do this, right? The USB is more than 10 years old. So at some point, you're going to have to go, hey, technology allows us to do something that's much better. It's reversible. It's reversible on both ends, too. So you won't have a male and a female end, so to speak. It'll just, you can plug it in if it's USB on both ends. You can plug it in whichever direction you want.
So it's four-way reversible, upside down, backwards, forward.
Yep. USB-C does whatever you want.
I can't believe how much people whine about this stuff. I mean, the kerfuffle over the Lightning connector on Apple devices was just, it was the standard for 9 years, something like that, before they changed it, and everybody was like, well, forget it, I'm not buying that new model, I'm not going to.
Right, you can't accuse the USB standards body of promoting sales of devices, because they don't
or going too fast.
They don't make any money off of it. No, definitely not that either. Finally, Habituela con Dulce and Texas Teacher both submitted links about Tim Davis. Who is Tim Davis? Well, if you're one of the many people who've been feeling a little empty inside because there have been no outrageous Comcast customer service calls lately, Tim Davis is your new best friend. Davis moved to a new apartment and chose to self-install his Comcast wireless equipment. Everything worked just fine for a few weeks until it didn't. A Comcast technician was dispatched and discovered a problem with the wires outside. Since the problem was out of Davis's control, he was told there would be no cost to him on a call, which he secretly recorded. Then he got the bill, and lo, there were charges, almost $200 worth, including a failed self-install. So Davis called again, and things did not go well. But that crafty Tim Davis, he had a secret recording which he played for the Comcast rep, and only because of the secret recording, he got his money back. So Comcast customers, perhaps it's time to start secretly recording every single call you make to Comcast, ever. Needless to say, the link to this secret recording will be in our show notes at dailytechnewsshow.com.
I have to tell you, Tom, we had a problem with our Fios with our phones, and they dispatched a tech out to the house, and Steve specifically asked the guy, is there going to be any charge for this? And he said, nope. And then we got a bill in the mail, and Steve had to escalate way the heck up to get them to stop it. And so it's starting to look like maybe this is a strategy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure it is. It's sort of a like billing department. You don't know what the techs are doing out there in the field. So if somebody tries to get out of a call or out of a charge, just talk them out of it. Don't worry about reality. That seems to be what I don't know if that's the actual instructions, but that seems to be.
I do have to say something about Verizon, though, is after the Ryan Block, Veronica Belmont fiasco, we wanted to get rid of one of our cable boxes on Verizon, and we called them up, and she said, okay, just want to make sure you understand, if you do this, you can never get it back. I said, sure, okay, I understand. She said, all right, just drop it off at UPS. And I said, so do I need to buy a label and a box? And she goes, no, just drop it off at UPS. I said, I don't even put it in a box. Yeah, we don't even care if you give us the remote back. Just drop it off. We've got a universal agreement, and it worked, and we got our money back. It was just like shockingly easy.
Yeah, no kidding. That's not where I expected that story to go.
Stranger than truth.
Yeah. All right, that is a look at the headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have been mentioning, the Sword and Laser anthology is out there. Sword and Laser is a science fiction and fantasy book club that myself and Veronica Belmont run, and we got 20 authors from our audience to write amazing science fiction and fantasy stories. We chose these 20 out of almost 1,000 submissions. We had excellent people helping us pick, and we got excellent stories. Patrick Rothfuss wrote the foreword, the introduction to the anthology. 10 sci-fi, 10 fantasy stories. You can get a copy at swordandlaser.com/store in all the formats we could possibly figure out how to do. So check it out.
Did you know you can gift a copy of Sword and Laser to someone? I sent one to my friend Dorothy.
Really?
Our
mutual
friend
sent
Dorothy.
One to Dorothy. I would have sent Dorothy one for free, probably.
Oh,
if you'd really asked, but thank you. Dorothy, the Dorothy she's referring to wrote a script for me, and she writes a lot of scripts for Allison too, that incredibly speeded up my preparation time by automating some cut and paste tasks. So thank you.
And it makes her happy to give her those little tasks. That's what's so fun.
All right, real quickly before we had some beefy headlines today, but you were looking last week at the Flurry report that came out. I think it came out like Thursday night or Friday morning, about the fact that women spend more on mobile games than men. So this is a report that had lots of stats in here, but essentially the upshot was women spend more in game. They're more loyal over a 7-day period. They have higher retention. And they had an interesting chart about the different kinds of games that women seem to play versus men. Flurry Analytics, by the way, is a mobile ad placement, so they're just looking at those stats that they get from placing ads in apps.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting from a couple of different levels, and one of the things I wanted to bring up was that Ken Ray on macOS Ken specifically pointed out that it isn't all about make your apps pink and have balloons and butterflies in them, and then you're going to get more women to play. They did a good job on Flurry of saying, and again, this is only applications that they work with, so they could only talk about stuff in their network, but they found things like endless runners, brain quizzes. You didn't see women in RPGs and first-person shooter kind of games. But they were more in the brain games, sim kind of games, solitaire kind of games, maybe a little more thinking games. But I did think it was fascinating. There were more in-app purchases, and it's not a little bit more. They're 31% more in-app purchases than men. And it made me start thinking about whether the console side ought to start looking at this. And then I kind of talked myself out of that. Do women sit still for a long time in front of the TV with a remote? Would they if they had more of those kind of games?
It is interesting. The reason that this became a thing is because the Kim Kardashian app came out, made $1.6 million in the first 5 days, and people thought, well, I didn't know women played games, which is stupid. But then they did find out that it's not that it's a Kim Kardashian app that made it so successful. It's the fact that women spend more time in management/simulation, solitaire, gambling, match 3 bubble shooter types of games. This game does that. And as you said, they make 31% more in-app purchases than men. So I think I guess if you really want to boil it down, Allison, the question is this a cultural thing? Is it learned behavior that women are responding to society in their game preferences? Or is this just a natural difference in the way the two genders' brains are constructed?
I would love to know the answer to that question. This just opens so many more questions. Are women more often, standing in line at a grocery store, for example, would go into the DMV running errands where they would have time to be on a mobile device? Was what I was starting to think about, and that's why they're on that. I definitely am very sticky on games, but there's very, very few games that I really, really like. I've been playing Bejeweled since like 1987, I think. I used to play it on my Palm Clie, and so I think that the stickiness, the retention is an interesting one that I can resonate with. In-app purchases, I don't know.
I think the in-app purchases, I suspect, might be a result of the behavior that involves loyalty and stickiness, right? If you just spend more time in a game and you spend more time with that game, so what did they say? 42% more retention for women over 7 days. Retention means they stayed in the game, they didn't abandon it. You're just more likely to be tempted to spend because you're like, I want to keep playing this game. And anybody who's played a game with in-app purchases, the longer you play it, the more tempted you are to buy those donuts or whatever it was that was in that game.
I wonder whether Flurry advertises on Candy Crush. Could this be like mostly a Candy Crush thing? Probably not. No, because it has other things.
They have a wide breadth of apps, but we should point out that this is not a scientifically weighted survey, which is, and they're very appropriately not trying to read too far into it. They're like men, women. That's a fairly decent breakdown, and they've got millions of users out there, but still, this is not something where they went out and did a weighted sample, so it's just their own analytics that they're reporting.
Yeah, I like that they just said, here's some facts we know. They didn't really say what it means. They just said, hey, look what we noticed.
And
These
I think that's responsible
really
of them to be like, you know what, management simulation, solitaire, slots, we're seeing more women play those and time spent on those. And then, and it is really interesting. Card battle, strategy, tower defense. That sports games. Those are
all... not tower defense. Tower defense went skewed towards men.
No, I'm naming the men one.
Oh, the men one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the card battle, the strategy, the tower defense, the sports. Those are all stereotypical male types of things.
RPG
right?
shooters.
Yeah. Now, I thought what was interesting is the ones that were neutral. They were lower time spent, so maybe they're just not very fun. But arcade, platformers, and racing games, as well as
and
physics
physics
and
puzzles.
Yeah.
I love me a physics puzzles game. I love those kind of games.
That's something we all can agree on, apparently. No, this is really intriguing, and it does sort of ask for more research to be done to really answer the interesting questions. But
I like the idea of developers, though, looking at these things and saying, okay, well, if I want more money, I'm going to look for the platform where people spend more, and that's one of the reasons Apple's doing as well in the App Store, right? Because people spend more money per person per account on iOS. And then going, okay, well, now women are, what kind of game should I write? If I'm thinking I could do a battle game, or I could do a slots game. Ooh, those people who spend money spend more money over on slots.
Or if I'm doing a battle game, I'm just going to sell it for $10 because the guys will buy it. But I'm not going to try to make money off of the in-app purchase.
Yeah, because they're never going to spend any money on it. That's an interesting way to go, too.
All right, take a look at the calendar. Just one thing on it for tomorrow. Cisco will be releasing their earnings. Our pick of the day comes from our producer, Jenny Josephson. As you know, she was off this weekend, and one of the things she did was conduct very important business at Disneyland. While she was there, she relied heavily on the Mouse Wait app. Jenny, I have never heard of the Mouse Wait app.
Neither did I before I did extensive research about what it was like to go to Disneyland.
That was brave, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It was feet killing. But if you're in the United States, they don't have them quite for Euro Disney yet, and you're headed to Disney World in Florida or Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure, which are in Anaheim, California. This is an app, Mouse Wait, that uses very close to real-time data from a dedicated social community that posts wait times for all the lines for the popular rides. I mean, it's really like every ride, and they post the wait time for you to get a Dole Tiki Whip. I mean, it's very detailed. They'll tell you like when a fast pass is available, and the app, it also features these overall crowd indexes, so you can look at a glance and say, oh, Disneyland is going to be a nightmare today. It has a programmable to-do list, so you can just click stuff, and you're like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and it ends up on your thing. And it's also got a very lively community segment where people post advice and little secrets about Disneyland. And I have to say that I've spent the last 2 days at Disneyland, and I rigorously field tested this app, and it's impressively accurate. It's ad supported, it's free, it's available on iPhone for both parks, the one in Florida and California, and on Android just for Disneyland so far. So if you want to learn more about it, check out mousewait.com, and that's mousewait.com.
Nice.
I've used it before. It was great. Definitely use it.
Mousewait.com. All right, if I ever go to Disneyland, I will definitely
Go!
I will definitely do that.
No, Tom's got a record going, right? You've never been to Disneyland, never been to Disney World?
No, yeah, neither one.
You were sitting with me right next to Disney World and
I'm
never
a sick individual, I know.
walked across the...
That's true, actually. I have been within walking distance of both parks, actually, but with
For
Allison.
3 days.
Well, I don't know if I've ever been near Disneyland with you, Allison,
No,
but I have been
Disney World.
near Disney World. Yeah. Well, you know, they put convention centers near there, so I end up at convention centers a lot. I just never have
Break
time.
the streak, man. Break the streak.
All right, send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find our picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. That reminds me, Jenny, we need to put that pick on the picks page because it's your pick. Our messages of the day to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com comes from our boss from Rochester, New York, another Jay Martin. So many Chiefs, Allison. Here's another one. It says, hi, Tom, Jenny, and Allison, because it says insert fine guest name here. He knew it would be a fine guest name. On Monday's show, Nate Langston suggested that if a big celebrity like Lady Gaga or Justin Bieber got behind Amazon or Hachette in their dispute, then their followers would probably just do what the celeb did. Well, that did happen. Stephen Colbert's publisher is Hachette and is being affected by the dispute. All his books are currently listed on Amazon to be shipped in 1 to 3 weeks, even though they are on Prime. So they would normally be available in at least 2 days. He took this to his show back in June. In order to get back at Amazon, he wanted fans to purchase books directly from other book sites, in particular the book California. So he wasn't just trying to sell his own books. There's a sci-fi book called California, also published by Hachette, and of course the fans responded and bought the book. There's a whole New York Times story about it. Colbert had Eden, the author, on his show and asked fans to buy another book from Hachette. So I don't know how much that's hitting Amazon's bottom line, but it certainly helped Eden out as the author of California.
Wow.
So good for you, Stephen. Good job. And thanks for pointing that out, another J. Martin. I'd seen that video back in June, but totally forgot about it.
Hey, you remember this is another topic that I know isn't in the lineup and we're almost out of time, but you guys have been talking about the heads-up display. It's come up a couple of different on the car.
And I was criticized for using heads-up display since we
head-up
don't have
display.
multiple heads. Although I
we
think
always call them heads-up display.
all heads. This woman worked for people who know, and if you call it, like jet fighters call it heads-up display, I'm going to not feel bad for calling
they
it
do.
that.
Well, the
Okay,
one
good.
thing that I hadn't heard discussed was not only does it put something in your line of vision, it also puts the focal distance out. So right now, if you have to look at your speedometer, you have to bring your focus in and then back out. So it's one more thing that makes it more immersive and less distracting.
That's a really good point, because your speedometer is a little distracting, but we all deal with it. This would be less distracting because of that focal length.
My newest Acura, I have to turn my head this far, that's good for the audio listeners, about 30 degrees and down maybe 12 inches to see the clock in my car.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
like
and
that little thing in the corner.
I need to get one of those dash mount things for my phone too, because whenever I have Waze, I always have to look down to see the map. if I
Not
need to
making
check
phone
it.
calls, but looking down at the
At the
map.
map, exactly, which is, that's just as dangerous.
Yep.
I never talk on a phone, even hands-free in a car.
You hate the phone anyway, I bet.
I don't really like to talk on the phone. That's true. That's not why. All right, that is it for this show. Thank you, Allison Sheridan. It was a great show, as always. Twitter.com/podfeet if you want to follow her, PODFEET. Podfeet.com to get the podcast. What do you got going on with NosillaCast these days?
Well, this sounds really silly, but I made a big change to the podcast recently. I do a giant blog and I do a podcast. So my blog posts were like 5,000 words a week, which is a little extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mocked for that. So what I've started doing is, as I finish an article, instead of just making it all part of one thing, I've got separate articles coming out during the week. So podfeet.com has, 4 or 5 things, 3 or 4 things will come out during the week. And then I link back to those instead, because all of the content that's in the blog is also in the audio podcast. So the two used to go together, but it seemed like, why am I holding this content? Let people have it sooner. So the website got a little more interesting.
Excellent. So you can check the website throughout the week and kind of know what's going to be discussed on the show coming up. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Check it out, podfeet.com. Also, thank you to our patrons, including Allison and who is our emailer again here? It was another J. Martin and all the folks in the audience. 4,238 people are supporting the show. And if you're not one of them, and you could be, if you can't, we totally understand. But if you could be, check out dailytechnewsshow.com/donate. There's a link there to patreon.com, which is how we mostly fund the show. And there's a couple other ways you can donate as well. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what stories we cover at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. You can email us, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail. Our number is 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Or you can just send us an MP3. Listen to the show live at mobile.alphageekradio.com and visit our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow for the 10th anniversary of podcasting. The man behind the Daily Source Code and, of course, No Agenda, Adam Curry, will be with us. Talk to you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
The dinging
All right.
came back right
What's
at the
with
end.
the dinging, Allison?
So
What's
that's
dinging?
anytime somebody says Podfeet in the chat, and I have turned off every single alert. And
Are you using colloquy?
now I'm using textual,
Oh,
and I
okay.
even have a note to myself.
You said textual.
Show general event messages should stop it, and that didn't stop it. It's still dinging. It doesn't ding on my show.
That's weird.
Alert. Highlights mentions. I have every single box unchecked. Maybe I have to close it. Somebody write Podfeet for me, would you?
Oh, you're going to get a bunch of them now.
Yeah. No, it's still
That
there.
was
You know what
me.
else? It sounds like it.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah.
It sounds like it's coming out of my regular speakers, not my headphones.
Get ready for a ding fest.
Thank you.
Ding, ding, ding.
How is it coming out of my speakers and not my headphones?
That's what's odd, right? Like, I shouldn't hear it at all because I don't hear myself coming back because that's going through your headphones.
Right. Thank you, everyone. This actually does help. Try to because I don't think in textual you tell it what speakers to come out of.
I wouldn't think so. You know, it's not the kind of app that would.
And I knew it was happening. I was just sitting there frantically, like just unchecking everything.
Is there like a mute all external notifications? You guys are so dedicated. I love this crowd.
So there's current alert. Oh, my friends from New Zealand are here.
Oh, they
Hi,
made it.
friends from New Zealand.
That's good. I'm glad they made it safely.
Should I tell them to come in?
Oh, I gotta do.
It's up to them, yeah.
I gotta do.
They don't mind being seen on the internet.
Oh, I'm sure Marianne would like it. Devin won't come up. Let me go
Fries
get
are
him.
done.
All right. So how did the pick of the day go? Was it too long? I went a little long.
No, I thought it was.
We're
within
on
the
video air.
acceptable parameters.
All right.
Previous friends from New Zealand?
My previous friends
doesn't
from New
lift.
Zealand. So if you can see your face there, then that's
Hi, Tom.
Marianne.
I just had to walk from the airport.
Sorry about that.
This is Devin. He says sorry about that.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Good exercise, though.
Oh, if I could figure out why I'm beeping so much, we've been trying to figure that out. Let's see.
Hey, doggy.
Yep, all those beeps were coming during the show.
Oh, you're never going to get invited back.
No, that's
And now
it.
you don't have any friends anymore either, so that's not a good trade-off.
You should have picked them up at the
Oh
airport.
shoot! Now we can't hear you.
We cannot hear you.
I gotta plug back in.
On my foot. Rolled on my foot now.
All right.
Mass hysteria.
There we go. Well, I should probably go see these
You
guys.
go ahead, yeah, hang out.
Try to win
Tell
back
them
your
thank you.
friends.
Before we leave, yeah.
Try to win back your friends, they said. All right. Bye, Jenny. Bye, Tom. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Allison.
Okay, thanks for the ding, too. Oh, BioCow waves at you guys. Bye.
Bye. That was fun. We had
That was
guests.
funny. Yeah,
Multiple
you never
guests.
know who's gonna stop by.
Yeah.
The old tech shack.
Oh, I have to do the show notes. I forgot.
Yeah, thank goodness I don't want to do them anymore.
I know, right?
You know, I didn't do Fridays until Saturday because somebody was like, "Hey, where are the show notes?" I'm like, "Oh, right."
Well, I'm glad somebody's even like looking at them.
Yeah, exactly. I was glad someone cared.
Yeah, I always wonder. But now I have to do them.
We have a lot of titles kind of running neck and neck at Showbot.
Oh, right. Sorry, I got all distracted by the New Zealanders. Uber doesn't lift.
Clever. I could go with that one. I got no problem
Yeah.
with that one.
I kind of people familiar with the matter.tumblr.com.
I think I've probably used that
Use
before in previous shows, obviously. Not that I could never redo one. I have a blog. I was a subtle plug to people familiar with the matter.com, which I never touch, but it automatically just runs. Most of it is sources say, actually. I should add people with knowledge of the matter.
There's trouble at both ends, which both El Khalif and I submitted, which I really enjoy. Secret loyalty and stickiness, which, wow. Secret recording, which if you put an exclamation point on it, I would buy. And if you put Comcast in front of it, well, that would be savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got a bunch of disconnected with a K, call of disconnect, which I like. Ridezillas. That's actually really clever. It doesn't have a lot of voice, but that is clever. Ridezillas. And then
Should we do Uber doesn't lift?
Viv knows more than.
What were the one you were saying? Put Comcast in front of it?
Oh, Comcast secret recording.
What do you think?
Well, when in doubt, I kind of like to go with the top vote getter.
It seems to be starting to pull away by one vote.
Let's give it one more minute if you have one more minute.
I'm gonna pencil it in. In other words, I can put it in now, and then I can change it when I put in the album art. I'd like to have something in there though, just to make sure.
Tom just briefly went away, or maybe that was me.
What? Hello?
There? What?
I'm here. I never
Oh,
went
weird.
away.
You just went. It's me. It's
Oh,
my.
okay. It's your
It went
internets.
massively out of sync.
Yeah, you're fine on my end.
All right.
CSR, Comcast secret recording. Philadelphia, CSR Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's pushing it too far.
All right. Let's see. Show notes. I'm not gonna be able to do these till we're done.
Show notes.
I can't multitask today. What is
Show
happening over
notes.
here?
Yeah, you gotta get back in the swing.
Yeah, let me tell you. I don't know how people with tons of money and no ambition do it because I am not good at taking a lot of time off and just hanging out.
Oh, you mean the not doing anything part of it?
Yeah, the part where you're just like, today I'm gonna go to the beach, and today I'm gonna, like, we did a lot. It was a 4-day celebration. Oh.
I like CSR
Candy-
Comcast secret recording.
Candy Crush dropped 20%, shares dropped 20%, and then I kind of like didn't care because I expected that they would.
You mean Zynga or King?
Yeah,
Or
Zynga.
King? Sorry, King.
King.
Who makes Candy Crush, King or Zynga?
King? Let's see. King. It's King. They should just merge and become Kinga.
Zing.
And both and both have the same result.
Get Candy Crushed.
Yeah.
Wow, you mean a company that makes all of its money off one game can't last forever? I'm
Yeah.
shocked. Farmville.
That is. Oh, it looks like there's a guy on a roof. It must be an Assassin's Creed video.
Mm-hmm.
Guy hunching on a roof. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Twitter to see what I missed while I was caring
gotcha.
about being on the show, which is why I don't like to be on the show. 11 great game trailers that debuted at GamesCon, and I just saw the picture, and it was the dude from Assassin's Creed.
Right.
Just on a roof, as he do.
Okay. I'm going with Uber Doesn't Lift
Yeah.
over Trouble at Both Ends, which is tied. However, I don't. Out of context, I don't know. On another day, I'd totally do it, but I like Uber Doesn't Lift, and it's more relevant to the stories. So.
Yeah, I agree. I just saw something that upset me, but I'm not going to say anything.
I'll tell you what upset me was
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Oh, God. I'll tell you what, we were at Disneyland, and this is a very interesting Robin Williams-esque story, which is, so we're at Disneyland, and we're about to get on the ride for California Screaming over at California Adventure.
Okay.
And I literally go like this. Like I made that noise. It was because we'd just seen that Robin Williams had died. And now, obviously, Matt is a comedy writer. His, like, lifelong love of Robin Williams starts in, like, every molecule of his heart. Like, he loves, like, crazy. And he was just shocked. I was like, we need to get off the roller coaster. Like, cause I was like, how am I going to take this guy who's practically crying on a roller coaster? It was terrible. And so, but we were in the line and we get on the roller coaster and we learned a very important lesson, which is you actually, like, by the laws of physics, cannot be sad on a roller coaster.
Good to know. You're just too scared.
No, it's overpowering, overwhelming, and all you can do is laugh, which is frankly exactly what Robin Williams was.
Yeah.
And so it was in some ways incredibly appropriate. And then it kind of like tanked the rest of the trip to Disneyland because like it was that sad for this family. And it was sad, and the lesson is it was like that sad for everybody's family if they have any. He was everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere. I
spent a ton of time just looking at videos, and then I went and I bought Dead Poets Society and watched it last night.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, there was an article today that basically said there was no actor that we can think of that as successfully hit every quadrant of different kinds of acting, like from the ridiculously comedic all the way to the incredibly dark to sort of like the heartwarmingly thoughtful. I mean, he just like hit.
Bill Murray is the closest I can think of.
Yeah.
That he's the
But-
only one that's even in the same ballpark.
Right, but without necessarily like this, like Robin Williams had sort of this like mass market appeal that I think Bill Murray tried.
Yeah, he's been a little
Wow.
more indie.
Right, and God, when you and then we were at the parade. You know, they do that cute parade. You don't know because you don't go to Disneyland. They do a cute parade every day, twice a day, in which all the characters come out and dance. And the genie came out, and everybody was like, "Oh," you know, because he was a Disney character too. So it was really quite a weird, disconnected day.
Well, I know he's got Night of the Museum still yet to come out. He was in
Three
that.
movies.
Was he actually had he actually finished shooting all of them? I couldn't tell from the one story that I read.
It was set to be released.
Okay.
So there was something, a Christmas, like a dark Christmas movie, Night at the Museum, and then
And there's
one
film.
other.
I know
Yeah.
film was the other one.
God, and it's just like, I don't know. We really had a lot. We had a lot to say about it yesterday and today. It was sad.
All right, I am out of the post,
Okay, I have to go build the show notes.
and I am going to stop the video broadcast. Good to have you back, Jenny.
Yay! I'm back.
Yay. All right. See you tomorrow, folks.